What it do, snackers, snack gets and snack X's. It's your boy Gage. I'm here with jokes. I'm here with Sin, and you are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And
Today,
today we are going to talk about what is happening in the video game industry and how Square Enix is adjusting. Um, we might talk a little bit about Spider-Man.
Okay.
Um, we got some rigmarole to get through first. Jokes, you got a job to do.
hmm
What up, Cuddy? Um, Jokes, get the beacons link up for you. Easiest way to find us. Best way to find us wherever we are across all our social accounts, and most importantly on Patreon. Speaking of which, Sin, you got a job to do.
Yes, let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, Kermit Ferguson, and newly added Will Heward to the Patreon family. It's truly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Welcome, and welcome some more. Um, Jokes.
yes, sir.
Forward, down, forward, punch. What does that mean to you?
That is not the Konami code. Which one?
Dang, man, I was pulling for you, Jokes. I was pulling for you. I was really pulling for you. Um, Cuddy said, "I'm slowly getting through the X-Men spoiler boys. These are some of the best ones. Just finished episode 4 and 5 with Adam and Jerry. Awesome work. I appreciate that, my guy. I want you to know that episode 8 and 9 is a
Uh,
dude. That thing is a long episode.
Yeah.
Um, Thanks, Heather, for helping him. Although that's not spelled right, but it is the right answer.
Right.
Except it's not. That's not it either. Forward, down, forward. Sin.
Hmm.
Forward, down, forward, punch.
Bro, I have so many different fighting game combinations
No,
going through my head
no,
right now.
no.
Because it's not a Hadouken, it's
Forward.
not a Dragon Punch.
It is a dragon punch.
Forward, down forward.
Forward,
Got it.
down,
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, it came back. Okay.
Punch.
Yeah.
What is the actual name?
Sure you can.
See,
If you're going by Street Fighter terms, yeah.
I mean,
But that's the way to do it, yeah. Outside of that,
but if you
everybody else
call
is
it a dragon punch, that's what it is. Because
Yeah.
even in any game, I don't care if they kick or whatever when they
yeah,
do it.
it's the Dragon
it's a
Punch, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, cause that, you know what I mean? That's I joke. You didn't play much Street Fighter, huh?
nope.
Clearly, it's definitely not the Konami code.
No, sir. You were off by a lot.
Like a lot though. Like,
yeah.
like
wasn't
wrong
even
company, wrong era. It's all good
Missing a
though.
lot of arrows in that thing.
What? A joke.
Yo,
What's the name of Xavier Woods' YouTube channel?
up, down, down.
That's the start of the Konami code. That's why it's called that. Did you know that?
What?
he
Up,
didn't.
down, down. No, I knew.
That
Well, I
that
didn't know
that's the
that
start of
was.
the Konami code, and that's why it's called that.
Nope. Didn't put those two together.
And now your age has been revealed, sir. Ooh boy. Uh, what up, Kai? Speaking of Heather, jumping into the comments, it was really good to see you this past weekend at Nerdpocalypse, which is the first thing we're gonna talk about today. Look, we had to like divide and conquer a little bit.
Just a smidge.
It's a little inside baseball. I was scheduled to host like 3 different things. at the same time. So fortunately, there's a group of us, and it was like I didn't even bother to tell anybody. I never even said to anybody, "Hey, just so you know,
Times are
Hmm.
overlapping here. Like,
you have me scheduled to be in multiple places at the same time." Like they just put my name on, and it was like, "You do it." Apocalypse was impressive this year for some reason to me. That it was like sunny, rainy.
mm-hmm,
I feel like I really like them not really having stuff outside
Hmm.
and it being more focused on the interior of the different spaces, the different bars. Um, and, the layout of Power Plant Live is lopsided. There's like 5 bars on one side, and then there's like the club on the opposite side,
mm-hmm,
and then there's like an escape room. And you
Hmm.
have Ram's Head,
mm-hmm.
and you have like some restaurants. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like 2 or 3 restaurants that are there, Tin Roof and the pizza spot. Um, you know what, Heather? She said, "Same, great to see you. Thanks for the bag help." I don't know how much help we actually were, but it did turn into a backpack that you could wear, and that is the
That's
most
all that
important
matters.
thing. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't know. I like the energy. It just felt more focused, and it kind of felt like it kept people more into the interior and therefore visiting more of the activities that were going on in
Mm-hmm.
the individual spaces by
Hmm.
not really having anything outside. Though I do feel like that because Mosaic is on the opposite side of where everything else was happening, it didn't really get any attention, so to speak.
Yeah.
Is that I mean?
No, I can agree with that because there's stuff upstairs that people are attending. It's stuff that's happening in Lucky's with trivia and everything. Smash Bros is right next to that happening for like 2 hours. Like, yeah, and with the rain, it's just it seems like Mosaic got left to the side. But I mean, other than that, it seemed well. It was a little different, yeah, not having like the big stage outside and doing that, but still turned out pretty good. We're just doing stuff inside.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I kind of felt like I was gonna miss that, and I didn't. I also didn't hear like repeat people who have been to multiple ones say that they missed there being like outside
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that worked out. Let's talk about that Smash Brothers tournament
Oh, that
Whew.
was
because I wasn't
fantastic.
there for like
Oh,
any of that.
that
Nah.
So y'all
Smash
gonna have to tell me
Brothers.
what happened. I missed all of that.
So,
uh, was it 16 people we had total?
mm-hmm.
Uh, Started with the regular run, then we moved up to the semifinals, all the way to the finals. It
And that's
started out kind
generally
of
how
like,
a tournament
I
works,
mean,
sir.
yeah,
I don't. That's how
but no, it was a good
tournaments
time.
go.
There was some real good competitors out there. The further we got into it, it definitely got way more intense. Like it was no items in it, no special build, none of that type of stuff. It
But
was
the
just
whole
hand.
time it was like that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
whole
that's the same.
time,
That's
and
how,
Yeah.
that's,
then
how,
Okay.
that's
and all
how
the
the rules were
matches.
set up to run it. Yeah.
Yeah, and all the matches were 1-on-1. So I know a lot of people probably think it's Smash Brothers, like 4 people playing simultaneously together. It was just straight 1v1 matches. And when you tell you, as we got further in, like Jones was
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah. We came down to
And
sudden death a few good times. Came down to
dog, a
sudden
whole
death.
bunch of time.
Yeah. Yeah. It
And I
was
think,
intense.
with the help, like normally when you go to a tournament, you kind of just stand there and watch. But me and Sin were adding a lot of commentary on top of all the matches that were happening. Everyone was getting excited as we were
I mean, that
throwing
was your
tidbit.
job, sir.
Yeah, I'm saying
You
that was
supposed
our
to be
job,
okay.
but
Yeah.
putting more on our job, and just keeping people engaged with how things
Yeah.
are happening. And like me and Sim were like making, like trying to make picks, but we're both like picking the opposite person. So it's like we still have this like like battle going on
Hmm.
commentary for it.
Yeah.
But everyone,
Somebody sent me a picture of y'all that
mhm.
I know y'all haven't seen.
I'm pretty sure we
Probably
haven't
I
seen
haven't
it.
seen any pictures from that
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, we were locked in trying to do our jobs, be professionals.
I mean, I didn't get it that day, so somebody sent it to me
But no,
Right.
it
after the
was
fact. But I literally that joint got sent to me, and I said I messaged back and said it looks like Jokes is talking trash. And they said
probably,
definitely talking
Yep,
trash.
definitely so.
I'm gonna
probably.
tell you why. I almost want to grab the picture and put it up, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna save it. But Jokes had his hand on your shoulder, Sin. And I was like, Jokes never puts his hand on anybody's shoulder unless he's
That
talking
was his
trash.
move the whole
He,
time.
he only ever like that's his whole thing. Like he puts his hand on your shoulder like a little fake confident, like, "Oh, you okay, buddy?" Like that's his whole MO. Bruh, that
That
picture
was him
is
the entire time.
kind of priceless. Sound like you was getting whooped then, Sin. Like you weren't your folks you were picking weren't doing too well.
Nah. Mine was crushing overall.
You took L's, Jokes?
Your Ike got bodied. I don't know what you're talking about. The only
Oh.
one of his characters going through the whole entire thing was Terry. Hey, listen, I forget
Terry
I
was
forget
clean. No, I said
the
the
dude's name.
fighters. Terry, Ken, Kazuya. I said the fighters. I'm behind all day. Anybody's picking a fight game character. Terry was just cleaning their clock stuff right to the very end. Like he got whooped. Yeah, Toon Link put him into place. Yeah. But until then,
Dig it.
it was
Well,
a good
while y'all
time.
were doing that, I was hosting the bull riding competition.
I saw a couple people get flung off before we
Oh,
had to
some
go.
folks got flung,
Before we had to head downstairs.
but there was some good, like, there was some good times. Like, I think the longest time was like a minute and 3 seconds or something like that. Like, it wasn't like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? But I most times average somewhere around like 15 to 20 seconds. Hey, ma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a minute was like, oh, all right. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Gave out some prizes first, second, and third. That was cool. Then basically went straight from that to we had the Beer Olympics, good versus evil, which is always a good time. Beer Olympics was I've lost
What's
J Rob
that?
means I've lost all sorts of time. Hello, everyone's still busy, but I hope to see everyone a lot kind of on Sunday. You will not see jokes. We may bring little jokes in our pocket though, but you won't see jokes. But yeah, me and Sin will be there for sure. Looking forward to it. It's been too long, kind sir. Yeah, Beer Olympics
Hey.
was when I say for the first time, I want to say in like 4 years, good one. Evil always
Oh
win.
wow.
and good one. And I mean, they like Slim, their anchor for good. This dude finished off the Das Boot in like record time.
Wow.
He slammed that joint and was
Okay.
cognizant afterwards. Like
My man was ready. I've been preparing this moment my whole entire life.
bodied that joint. Like it was kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, it was just loud. DJ was playing good music. The people who operate the bull were like riding the bull while the Beer Olympics was going on.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good time. It was a lot of people, super packed. Everybody had a lot of high energy. We were just up on stage, hosting, kind of just. There's the Das Boot. You can see Cannon Doll pretending to drink a Das Boot for sure. Yeah, it was cool. It's the same basic joints. What happened, Frosty? That's a Sin had the longest time. Jokes got flung off. I didn't ride. I was just hosting. I was just commentating. That's how the bull rider win. However, Frosty, we have decided to make sure to invite you to the next joint. See how you do. Riding the bull with the country music in the background. What up, Perk?
Yo.
J. Robert Dean says, I will be a Kidless table. My books at Logic are 10% off. I will do a free sketch in every book of mine they sell. I will also be available for small sketches. Otherwise, it's Kidless Day. I was
Dig
going to
it.
say,
Awesome.
I didn't see your name on the list, kind sir. I did see Sam's name on the list, but you should be able to ape your daughter's table because she has aped yours for years.
Facts.
Frosty, it sounds like your worst nightmare. Well, listen, we can have him play hip hop, you know what I'm saying, or something else in the background. Actually, to be honest with you, the DJ was getting it in there. Like, I was a
Crushing it?
little, I mean, like, getting it, bruh. Like, I had to shout the DJ out like 4 times.
Oh, okay. That was getting it.
Kind of, bruh. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I let just to kind of put it in perspective. PBR is like the country bar. It's like a country rock bar of the bars that are there, because clearly it has a bull in it, right? See, I said I ride a bull with hip hop in the background. All right. As long as the country's not there, she's there. Like, all right, I say let's plan it, time it,
the date. Yep.
let's make it happen. Yeah, PBR is like real country rock kind of atmosphere generally, but this Saturday,
No, sir.
that thing it was thinking. The only thing he didn't do was play "They Not Like Us." Which
Hey, listen,
I would have set it off.
look what Purple just put up.
Yeah, Perp.
Oh,
They
man.
didn't. If they had, might have been an actual war in there. We should have done that joint instead of having Good versus Evil. Had Kendrick versus Drake. Just seeing who won the
That's
Beer
the new
Olympics.
teams.
Yeah, it would have been kind of crazy. Yeah, overall, Nerdpocalypse was a really good time. Transcendent Events always puts on a great show. We always have a good time doing stuff with them. So again, if you ever have an opportunity to come to one of those when you hear us talking about it, the next thing for them is StellarCon York, which we will be at in New York. I had to say, by the way, Doug, the shell toes, air quotes, congratulations on snagging a pair. Yeah, go.com had to make a move. Almost grabbed 2 because I almost didn't want to open one, but I was like, I wear them once and I'll put them away. Frosty says one day I'll make it to one of those events. Not that hard to do. We can make that happen
Easily.
They gotta have a bull to ride in Ocean City somewhere. It's got to be one.
One of those hotels.
Look at Sin looking into it right now. It's already a problem. Because you already know the fun and games at the Ocean City is gonna be 2 days. Jokes.
Yes, sir.
There is a new Tomb Raider show coming to Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear anything about this?
I heard a couple things.
What are the couple things you heard?
It's done. I believe is it the same team that did Fallout, if I'm not mistaken, or someone related. I don't know, someone that may have been a part of the team or something like that. I'm intrigued. Is where I'm at right now.
Is that what you heard? That you're intrigued? What are you intrigued about?
Like
trying to get, I can't think of her name now, and I didn't write it down, and I should have, and that's my own fault. But continue, I'm listening.
Just like obviously, like I enjoyed the Laura Croft one, the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raiders that we had gotten. Did we ever get the other live action one that was supposed to come out, or did that one never come?
That came out with Alicia Vikander. That came out.
Yeah,
it came out in like 2018.
I never watched that one. So
why would you? I mean, that was rude. That was rude. That just came. That just came
that was
out,
so
bro.
real. The disrespect.
Pardon me.
just with the way that we've been getting some of these video game to live action adaptations now, I'm like, we could be going in the right direction. So I hope we can continue this streak. Um, but I feel like along the way somebody's going to drop the ball, and this could be it. But
Um,
I'm intrigued at least.
so Phoebe Waller Bridge is whose name I was trying to remember
Mm,
is at the helm of this. She was supposed to be. She was originally the person that was cast. If you remember when they first announced Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the TV show,
mhm.
she was the person who was cast to play Mrs. Smith. They changed that later on down the run, but she has like she wrote what James Bond movie did she write? One of the new ones. She wrote jokes. Google Phoebe Waller Bridge James Bond. It'll come up. Um, she's got some chops behind her,
Mm-hmm.
and she said that like Tomb Raider is like one of her favorite like properties. Period. Like just growing up
Oh, she did
playing
No
the
Time to
game,
Die. She did the last one.
which is you know, I mean, look, if you can pen a James Bond film, a current day James Bond film, and you were cast to be in an espionage show, her ability to put something together in Tomb Raider live action, I think could could pan out. Now, who they get to play Laura is obviously going to be a major thing.
Mm-hmm.
And how the acting holds up or whatever, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna watch it.
Depending on how it looks, I know I will. But
I'm not gonna watch it unless reviews are coming in saying like it's
Hmm.
good. Like
mm-hmm.
they don't have to come in saying, "Oh my goodness, you have to watch." Like Tomb Raider is one of those video game properties that actually has had successful transition into other media, right? Like
Hmm.
so I don't think that's a big deal. Perp says Melissa Barreras will be a dope Laura Croft. I don't know who that is, Perp. But you're more in tune with that kind of stuff than I am because I'll keep it a buck with you. If they're on TV now, I don't know them. If they're doing movies now, I don't know them. I don't know who people are. I don't like it just ain't a thing for some reason these days. Um Jokes.
Hmm.
Nick Cage is going to reprise his role as Spider-Man Noir in a live action show on Amazon. How you feel about that?
I think I'm okay with it. Obviously, the voicing that he did for the character, I think, is spot on. I think brought a good life to the character.
Mhm.
Obviously, live action is going to be a little bit different, but I.
I do know who that is.
Oh, okay,
Like
okay,
again, I don't know who that is, but I know who that is.
right.
Right.
Wait a minute. I don't know who that is, but I know what she looks like.
Right. You have a face to go with the name now.
Nah, not really.
Then
But
what?
like, that's not what I meant when I said, but I know what she looks like. But I know what she looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting to see them cast her in the role. I don't think it would be bad for her to be cast in the role. I don't know if I go as far as to say great, but I don't have more than Scream 5 to go on.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, jokes. Spider-Man Noir. You're all
Yeah,
in.
I'm I'm cool with it.
Sin, what do you think?
I think depending on how it's done, I think it'll be fine. just depending on how it looks, the story, and is he, I don't know, gonna be in his Spider-Man outfit all the time? You're gonna see him walking around trying to do his
Nah,
normal
he's like
Spider-Man
an
thing. Like,
old retired. Here, let me read the. Let me see. It's just gonna be called Noir.
okay,
And according to Amazon, it tells the story of an aging and down on his luck private investigator in 1930s New York who is forced to grapple with his past life as the city's one and only superhero. So, showrunner from 22 Jump Street and The Punisher,
hmm
they will be co-showrunners, and then Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and Amy Pascal, who worked on the Spider-Verse films, will be the executive producers. Now,
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't trust Amy Pascal, bro.
Oh, okay.
She's like the anti-Feige, bro. She's like,
Oh,
I just feel like she is what's wrong with all of the Sony led Spider-Man films. Like all of whatever is wrong with any of them,
her.
got you.
that's
But with
how I
that said,
feel.
I'll say after hearing it, I see potential in it being something kind of cool and different. So
Yeah.
it's just can they put all the right pieces together and
Mhm.
give us some quality.
I'll be honest, man. It sounds like vaporware, for lack of a better way of saying it. Like this sounds like the kind because they announced this like a year ago that they were gonna do it. They just now announced that Nicolas Cage is gonna be tied to it, right? But it honestly just feels like the kind of thing that just like they announce it, you hear about it, and it just never fully develops and comes fruition. Like it just
Mhm.
feels like one of those things that they're gonna cancel, somewhere that because they're also doing a Silk show, which is also supposed to be live action, and it just feels like
Sony do whatever they can to
It's
keep
trying to keep
Spider-Man
that
there.
Spider-Man
Yep.
property away from
Yep.
which I can't be mad at him for doing that, but I'm mad at him because of the what we've gotten for.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you
Garbage.
for trying to make that money, but you just been bringing garbage to the table.
Yeah.
nah. I mean, I'm mad at them. Like for a long time, I wasn't. Like from a business standpoint, it's like, yeah, absolutely. Make sure you have a movie in progress so that you don't lose the license because that
Mhm.
just kind of makes sense. And for the most part, for a long time, it felt like they cared and they were putting actual effort, like real effort, into trying to make it good, even before Marvel was involved. And so,
Mhm.
like, regardless of how you feel about, let's say, Spider-Man 3, and regardless of how you feel about the change to Andrew Garfield, and like, there was still actual, like, when those movies came out, those movies were good. Like,
Mhm.
you could hate how they did Venom or whatever, but like the movies were good for what they were at the time, and it just felt like there was actual effort being put into it. But now when you have stuff like Morbius and honestly even Venom, and Venom I feel like is part of the problem. Matter of fact, let's talk about that for a second. Venom is the problem because Venom wasn't great, and it breaks essentially all of the rules
Of what?
of the character
Mhm.
of the character, who the character is, what he's based in, where he comes from, all that kind of stuff, because you don't really have a Spider-Man tied to it.
hmm
But you have the rights to the character because you have the rights to the universe. So you so they put it out, and it does really well. Like that first Venom film did phenomenally well.
Mhm.
The second Venom film also did really, really well, which gave Sony the heart to go, you know what?
Let's
Let's
keep
just
going.
start picking. Yeah,
Let's
let's
go
just start
further.
picking off. And that's the problem. That's the problem because nobody told them. People voted with their wallets and they went to see those movies. Tom Hardy's not even great. Like it's not even. Those movies they're fun, but they're mid at best. And those are the films that gave them the green light and the gumption to be like, you know what?
We can do this.
You know what we should
Do
do?
it.
But like of all the like Morpheus, like Morbius is like
Yeah, that's still a
Morbius is
wild one.
It's also directly tied to Spider-Man. Honestly, it's like,
so like yeah, Morbius, Madam Web, like these things that they're doing that they're just kind of now it's just kind of like, well, we just throwing money at it, right? And part of it makes me feel like because of the effort that Marvel put in to the Spider-Man films
mhm.
and the deal that they struck on that end, and now we got to rewind a little bit. There was a really big push to try to make sure that Spider-Man ended up in the MCU. Everybody was asking for it. We all wanted it. You know what I mean? Sony wasn't really trying to play ball. They struck a deal so that there could be some involvement on the MCU side. And that Disney money, that joint spoke. Like it spoke
Yeah.
something serious. Right? So that's cool. But that contract was over. Right? And it was like, all right, the trilogy's done. We don't know if there's going to be a Spider-Man 4. We don't know about Tom Holland coming back, blah, 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 whatever, right? So to me, Sony's like, we're not finna give up this license. We just
Not at
going to throw
all.
stuff out there. We don't really care how bad they are. We can make them so bad because we have the rights and they can't do anything about that. We can make them so bad that Marvel will give us almost any amount of money to try to get to either try to get the property back or to come in and try to help with them so that we're not eating the losses the way we would have. You know what I'm saying? Like, because to me, it just seems like if you own it and you know that these characters are tied to Spider-Man, like there's so much money to be made in it if you actually put the time and effort in to make them really good. You do have an opportunity to popularize and make a franchise out of it, even if it is kind of separated from what the MCU is doing.
Mm-hmm.
That also doesn't really work for what Feige is trying to do with tying the comics, the animation, and the live action together. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Perp says Tom Hardy should have been a new Wolverine instead of doing Venom. Feels like a waste of his talents. No, Tom Hardy should not have been a Wolverine. Tom Hardy would have been a good Sabretooth.
Mm-hmm.
I would never have cast that dude as Tom, as I would never have cast that dude to be Wolverine. But also like they have such a hard time finding people who aren't like 6'3" to play Wolverine.
Yeah.
Wolverine's like 5'3".
5 there.
Yep.
Like it, like you know what I mean? Like just I wouldn't have wanted him to be Wolverine. I'm not saying you couldn't make him look decent though. And you know, like nonetheless, I just feel like now they're kind of just throwing stuff at the wall, and I feel like they're also just kind of announcing things like, let's do a
When
silk
was the last
show.
time we heard something about Craven?
Well, it got pushed back, remember?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's what I'm saying. When's the last
Yeah.
time we've heard anything? You know what I'm saying?
Nothing.
But-
Man,
I don't expect to
since it got
start.
pushed back.
Yeah. They ain't gonna start advertising that joint again until like like a month before that movie gonna come out. I think it's next
I mean,
year.
it
at
might
this
do something. And, you know, he probably maybe see something in New York Comic Con or something like that, possibly. But like, you know, I don't know. It just feels like they're just throwing stuff at the wall. And so, like,
they may shelve that joint.
that's what I'm saying. Like, for a brief moment, I thought to myself, Spider-Man Noir joint could actually be kind of cool, and it could be kind of cool.
Mhm.
But I don't trust him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, like hearing that it's tied to Spider-Verse helps because Spider-Verse was so incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But the live action stuff has not been. And so if you're taking a character from the other thing that's crazy about it is you got to kind of wonder what direction they're trying to aim. Because Spider-Man Noir is not really a kid's comic.
Right.
This is a Spider-Man that uses guns. Like, this is not, you know what I mean? Like, that comic wasn't really directed for kids. So if you're doing it and you're going live action, who is your target audience? And I think stuff like that is just always because now, like, Spider-Man Noir has like this, you know, kind of like kids know who he is because of the Spider-Verse movies, right? So like it matters. And then
he didn't have a small part. He was part
you'll
of the
have
squad.
that second Spider-Verse movie drop before this. That movie will definitely drop because it's already done. So that third Spider Verse movie will definitely drop before this goes
Hmm.
live, right? And so if that in any way spikes the character's popularity, especially amongst kids, who is this show for?
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And like, I guess there's stuff kids watch on Amazon Prime, but like everything I watch on Amazon Prime is specifically the most disgusting. Like it's the boys, it's
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's incredible. It's like the most visceral stuff.
Hmm.
That's what I go to Amazon Prime for the most part. You know, it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I go for the really adult stuff or whatever it is. And I don't feel like they have a good run of stuff that really is supposed to like go for that kid kind of. I don't know. I'm just not sure what that's for. And then like Silk doing a live action Silk, like what do you do with that? Because like Silk is like, not that there's not a great story to be told in Silk and there's not a lot going on, but like a core aspect of Silk is her being bitten by the same spider that bit Peter and them being uncontrollably sexually attracted to each other and just going at it like spiders,
Hmm.
like constantly, like it's like a thing. I don't, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in it. So, you know,
December. Oh, I didn't even realize they actually put a date to it.
Yeah,
yeah.
neither did I.
Andrew said Craven is due out December 13th of this year. So again, New York Comic Con is probably where you'll
Yeah.
see them drop a trailer, um, or something like that, and then you'll start to see a ramp up. Because New York Comic Con is usually September, October. Um, yeah, and you'll probably start to see them ramp up and talk about it. But again, I don't have any excitement for Craven, and I'm certainly not expecting it to be good. That doesn't mean
No.
it won't be in some manner because my expectations for it are already super low.
Yeah, like we said, we're looking at the track history of Sony with these properties, and it hasn't been good. So, yeah, you're coming in
Yeah,
with
I mean, look,
Craven, already looking at it that way.
they take losses, but a lot of times losses are also write offs. So it's kind of like
Hmm.
and to be honest, I'm not sure what the financial play is in wanting to keep ownership of the franchise if you're not going to actually put the effort in to do things that turn a serious profit. If that's the case, then what is the point? Right. And so you can make it that you're ruining the name of the franchise so badly that Disney offers them
Oh, ridiculous
some kind
money.
of
Yeah,
stupid money
Listen,
to
here's a
just
to
bring
get
it
blank
it
back
check.
back.
on.
Just
Yeah,
just give it back to us already.
But here's the thing. I don't think I'll keep it a buck. I think if Disney was going to do it, they try to do it in some sort of a package deal. I think they would want something else that Sony has.
Hmm.
That's what I think. I think that they will be shooting to try to get some other property that Sony owns. Sony owns a lot of stuff. They own a lot of stuff. Again, they're bidding to try to get Paramount.
Hmm.
yeah.
Now, if they manage to pull that off, they might be willing to let go of Spider-Man.
There's a lot of content that we're picking up, so
It's a
it's
lot of
possible.
content.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that goes. Um, Sin, you hate streaming services, and
Sure.
um, since we were talking about Disney and Hulu have announced a new bundle. Did you hear
Okay.
about this?
I saw something about like an advertisement, something. I kind of scrolled past it.
Disney and Hulu and Max.
Okay. How much is that
Um,
finna run?
they didn't announce it.
Okay, that's why.
Them no say. Them no
Because I'm
say.
thinking that's a hefty little package right there. You get no
They
strikes. Okay.
said they said by end of summer
Okay.
package will be available, but that means that HBO, Warner Brothers, Discovery are aligning themselves with Disney to
Hmm.
have a bundle that people can purchase together. And that is kind of crazy.
That's a hefty bundle.
This is the thing. This is honestly the one thing I did not see happening. I did not see. Comcast announced today Netflix. I think it's Netflix, Prime, and something else. They just did an announcement today that like they're going to be offering a streaming bundle. Comcast is offering, the cable company is offering a
streaming bundle.
You know, Disney, since the merge with Hulu into one app, for the first time they have announced profit. Like they have been profitable. Like it's the first time that they've announced, like chosen to actually use dollars to announce how they're doing versus using subscriber numbers to announce how they're doing. Right. So the unit of measurement was we have 20 million subscribers, or we grew by 10 million subscribers over the last year, or whatever. They had a $47 million profit since they combined the two of those into one service, which is good news considering like they made some changes at the top and they decided like we're going to just try to kind of pull some things together. And it makes sense because you now are seeing all of the content in one place, which is like what we keep telling people. Like if you put everything in one place, like stop trying to send people to so many different places.
Yeah.
There is a strategy to that works when people have no idea for real that you're the same company. It's like I feel like people know Coke and Sprite are the same, but they don't necessarily know that like Starry and Pepsi are the same. Like people don't necessarily know which sodas and drinks belong to which companies. Like they don't
Depends
know
on what side of the
that,
aisle in the grocery store it is. One side's all Coke products, one side's the Pepsi products.
But they don't know that.
Right.
I know.
You know that because you worked in a grocery store.
Yeah.
Consumers aren't that smart. They think they are. They're not. They're fed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's that kind of thing. Like, yes, like how all your stuff is on Plex. I mean, whatever you can get your hands on legally. And and I just the idea, right, that these large companies that own all this IP would actually sit in a room and talk to each other and be like, you know what we should do?
We should
let our powers combine. Like, like what are you talking about?
Really think about it. If we came together, we really be getting them.
I mean, it would be like Kendrick and Drake dropping a joint together in like 2 months. Story is horrible. Why get rid of Sierra Mist? Because it's basically the same thing. They just put different names.
Right.
I mean, they do change it up a little bit, but like, listen, Andrew, I don't actually know how old you are. I put you in our framework, but like I mentioned Slice to somebody the other day, and they was like, "What are you talking about?"
They looked at you
like,
like,
"Remember Slice?"
Go to Pizza Hut. Give me let me get that orange slice.
Slice was the original Sierra Mist before Sierra Mist turned into Starry. It's just like and none of them are 7-Up, but they can't beat Sprite. You know why they can't beat Sprite? Hip hop.
Yep.
Hip hop was right on, and that was it, dog. Like once they made them deals, and they started having rappers rap about Sprite on TV, it was over, dog. Like that was it. Then NBA players started dunking with Sprites. It's like that was it, though. Like I don't know, like Story right now has commercials with NBA players and like little cartoon lemon and lime. Nobody cares. He's sitting at a conference table and nobody's dunking. People dunk with Sprite. You know what I'm saying? Like they get busy.
Rappers came on with bars for the commercials.
Hey, bro.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is you just kind of can't beat Coke's like their market shares is kind of crazy. Like any fast food joint you go to, not even just
Majority of the
fast
time.
food, almost any joint you go to, Coke is what they have, so Sprite is what they have. You know what I'm saying? So like you're a weirdo if you walk into a restaurant, you're like, I'd like to have a Sierra Mist. They're like, I mean, we got Sprite, what are you talking about?
Right?
So I remember Sprite. I taste it, and you should taste the difference because there is a difference. Like I'm not positive that if I put a 7-Up, a Sprite, and a Starry unmarked in front of people, whether or not they'd be able to tell you which one is which. I'm positive they could tell you that they don't taste the same. Why are you making that face, Sin?
I was like, I can
What's
do that.
up?
I could definitely tell
I
the
can do that.
difference.
Let's line it up. Let's line it up. That's all I'm saying. Let's just line it up. No need for all that. Let's just line it up. Let's just run it.
Nah, there is a need for that because you made a face. Like if you hadn't made a face,
it was what a face like. People can't taste the difference.
no, people can taste the difference. I didn't say it. I didn't say people can't taste the difference.
They don't know
I don't
which.
necessarily think people will be able to tell you which one is which.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I literally like if you put them in front of them unmarked in like a red Solo cup, people will taste that joint, and I just be like, which one of these joints is Sprite?
That one.
I mean, you got it's you got 33% chance, bro. So like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like
Got a 33.
I just go ahead and sneak a clear Pepsi in that joint and just see how you do.
A Crystal
Hey,
Pepsi.
They said someone started doing the
I would
math
definitely
on
know
that
if it was a
junk.
Crystal Pepsi. Come on, Dad.
I mean, Crystal Pepsi tastes like
That was a weird tasting soda.
it's because it
I
tastes
like
like wet soda.
them.
Think about it for a second. Think about it. Think about it for a second.
What? So-
Say I'm wrong. Say I'm wrong. Hey, no, Crystal Pepsi tastes like wet soda.
That is the most interesting way I've ever heard anybody put that one together. That is freaking
Am I
hilarious.
wrong?
I ain't never heard that before.
I mean,
Hey, bro, I wish I had one to taste now. Like, yeah, that tastes like
I
wet
mean-
soda. Technically, I have one, but I'm
wet
not drinking
cola,
that.
I guess. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you think you could taste difference between Coke, Pepsi, and RC?
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah, that's
1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, J. Robert Deans, you're absolutely right. The difference is the carbonation, the sugar level, and it's the difference. And there is a difference in the configuration between like how much lemon and lime there is,
I was
how
gonna
much
say, yeah,
juice
that's-
there is, like how much of the concentration of the juice there is, but also like McDonald's Sprite and Wendy's Sprite taste completely different.
hey, bro, that McDonald's Sprite is a whole different
That thing's
beast.
spicy.
It's a whole different beast.
That McDonald's Sprite hit a little
They
different.
crank that
All right,
carbonation.
hey, listen, look, they got Canada Dry like in their
Yeah.
Sprite. Like, they got,
Drink that.
You drink that,
No,
go,
Get the-
"Ooh,
Hey, you get the
right here.
oh, listen, Wendy's Sprite is all sugar and waters down so fast. Like it's not even like there's definitely a difference. So like you're also talking about the difference between like if I could put Sprite in front of you from like 3 different restaurants.
Oh, you get like those are Sprites, but they ain't created the same.
But they ain't the same.
Fountain restaurant ones? Nah, I can't do that. It's got to be in a can or something for me to tell the difference between them.
Can out the bottle.
Yeah.
That's different too.
Yeah.
Let's go one last topic. Why not? Square Enix made an announcement. Well, they did their earnings.
Okay.
And basically said that they are completely foregoing exclusivity and are aggressively pursuing multi-platform. Now, without getting into numbers, at least right now, Sam, what does that mean to you?
It means that they're tired of having disappointing turnouts for their games. So this didn't hit what we thought it was going to hit. And we keep coming on here like, well, what did y'all think? You know what I'm saying? That's a part of it. I didn't even think about it until they say, you know, they're looking at doing more exclusivity stuff, not just exclusivity, but opening up to more platforms. Like, yeah, we've been waiting for how long for Final Fantasy? I was specifically waiting on the first one to
You mean for
play.
Xbox?
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, we've been waiting for Xbox. Didn't come out, so finally, I just played on PlayStation. But I would have paid the money for it if it would have came to Xbox. And that's just a missed opportunity that they had. So hopefully they've learned over these past months or years, and that's kind of the course they're going. So, I mean, hopefully it works out for them. I got a lot of love for them.
Jokes. What do you think?
Obviously, a couple pieces. So releasing, like, say, most likely title straight to PlayStation, I feel like has hurt them a little bit. And I'm sure with them seeing
Not
what's
just
happened,
PlayStation. They do it. They do it with Nintendo too. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
valid,
like it's
valid,
Octopath Traveler and like
Yeah.
Triangle
but
Strategy, bruh. Like
I'm sure
Dio Field Chronicles.
Yeah,
after they
they've been good
saw
over there.
what happened when they started adding titles into like Xbox Game Pass, and how people were going in there probably downloading like crazy, playing some of them. Then obviously I mean, most of their titles are still in Game Pass, but when you get those discounts to just go ahead and buy the game, and so you can just keep it forever, I'm sure they like what they were seeing on that side and kind of wish they were doing that beforehand by just releasing titles on more systems. But I mean, obviously, you put it in front of more people. I mean, you can only do better than trying to isolate it from certain consoles or PC, depending on what game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that we talked last week about what was going on at Xbox, them shutting down studios that like highly acclaimed. Sony shut down Japan studio. They shut like the industry for gaming itself is beginning to implode on its own weight. And I think that maybe up front it sounds like a really good deal when Sony pulls up with a dump truck and says, "Here's however many millions of dollars to just keep it exclusive to us." You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Like, don't put it out anywhere else. Just make sure it's an exclusive for us. Which in turn for Sony does move consoles, but they're the ones who benefit. Like Sony benefits, Square doesn't, right? Like they get some of that money up front, but the losses that they're taking on the other end of that are clearly not worth it. Now there was a time when that probably was the case. PlayStation 3 era, maybe even PlayStation 4 era. But the PlayStation 5 era is so different. And PlayStation 5 is doing better than PlayStation 4 was at the same point in its life cycle. It is
Mm-hmm.
outpacing both the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4. PlayStation 5 is doing just fine. But for a company like Square, they make so many games. There's so much, like they just dropped 2 Final Fantasies within like a 6 or 7 month span of each other.
Mm-hmm.
16 and then the sequel to remake, right?
Right.
They
Rebirth.
dropped Rebirth, right? But then in the midst of that, they did like again Dio Field Chronicles, like Triangle Strategy, like all these games that like were straight to just like Nintendo or something like that, right? So they did eventually release remake and I think integrate to PC,
Mm-hmm.
right? But even Sony, like Sony today announced their replacements for Jim Ryan, Herman Host, and I can't think of the other dude's name, and that's probably just because it's Japanese and it's harder for me to pull it. But they're doing a co-CEO ship
Mm-hmm.
now. So there's 2 CEOs, and they're kind of giving captainships of like, you're dealing with this, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with this.
Okay.
And the other of the 2, not Herman Host, who has already said this before, but was again reiterating on Twitter today that like uh, choosing to go after a multi-platform strategy is the best strategy going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. You the I mean the only person to actually say it out loud in front of anybody was Phil Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
Console market's not growing. It hasn't grown since like 360, right? So you don't have any more people. So you kind of almost have to look now at console gaming as like a stadium, a football stadium, there's a finite number of seats. You can never sell more seats than the number of seats that are in the stadium. You know what I'm saying? Now you can try to squeeze a few more in on the floor and do some standing
Right.
room only, right? You can say, you know what I mean? But even in that has its limits, fire code, whatever, right? So like, and you got to think about how corporate America, capitalist corporate America chooses to give you the information about like how well things are doing. They could announce to you that jokes if you played a concert
Mhm.
out Madison Square Garden, okay, and it's sold out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you advertise. I got a sold out concert, Madison Square Garden, right? But your tickets are $10 a pop. But Sin has a concert, Madison Square Garden, and his tickets are $100 a pop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same number of seats. It's a lot more money being made, right? But you have no idea what the difference in production costs of Sin's show versus your show. Well, just because people paid $100 a seat doesn't necessarily mean that Sin made more money than you.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many people is he traveling with in his team? How many people is he paying? Is he running pyrotechnics, right? Also, have you ever been to a concert? Because I have. You know how you get to the concert? I'm one of them people that like, I sit down at a concert in the nosebleeds and I'm like, dang, it's a whole lot of seats on the back half of this joint that they hiding backstage. Like backstage is like half the arena. You sold out. And when people hear sold out, they think like a basketball game because that's what people are used to seeing at a place like Madison Square Garden. They used to seeing a basketball game and having people seated all the way around. Sold out for a basketball game in the same arena, very different from sold out for an Ariana Grande concert in the same place. Tickets cost a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Regardless, finite space. From now, how do you sell to people outside of that space? Now we're talking like, what does it cost if we're filming the concert? What does it cost for people to pay for that concert on DVD or to stream it or to get a service to pick it up to pay for it? And now that's what we're talking about when we start getting into your game passes and moving our stuff to PC and going onto other platforms. How do you grow an audience without being able to grow the physical space they're in? You're not going to sell more consoles. You're just not. It ain't going to happen. I don't care how powerful you make it. Because at some point, no matter how much power you put into it, you're going to get to a point where the price of that console is so close to a PC. People's going to be like, I want to buy a PC. If they care enough at all about consoles to do it, they're going to just buy a PC. Like if they care enough about gaming to do it, they'll cross over. If you think about what people are paying for a Steam Deck, $500, $600. Well, that's what the consoles cost you.
Yep.
But that joint can't go with you. But a Steam Deck, even though it doesn't play at quite the same clarity, you don't have you still hook it up to a TV.
Mm-hmm.
Travel with it, take it with you to a hotel, dock it, hook it right up, mouse and keyboard, controller, however you want to go. Why would you do that? So, like, no, you're not going to grow that market. So Square's saying if one, they never announced what the sales were for Rebirth, for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So that's a lot of people concerned, right? Because they announced how well Remake did, but Remake came out in 2020. Everybody's stuck in the house.
Needed it.
Yep.
Everybody was stuck in the house. You give them a 120-hour game and nowhere to go.
They're gonna run 120 hours.
Right? They've been waiting for this sequel for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's finally here. Let me get it here. Y'all been talking about it for 7. Like, we've known you're making it for like 7 years. It's finally here. Let's get in here. Let's do it. And then the sequel comes out, and what's the issue? The issue is it's only really on one platform. It finally released on PC, But like you have all these people who are like, well, I won the first game, all the discs, it was all one joint. I paid for it once and that was it. Now you want me to pay 3 times for 3 different games that are the same game, right? The same story. That doesn't feel fair. 2, I didn't play the first one. I didn't finish the first one. I played it. I didn't finish it. So I can't start the second one. So I'm not going to buy it. So until I go back and play the first one or finish the first one, no point in grabbing the second one. So I might as well wait till that one go on sale. So your sales are down. Does that make sense? Like now your sales are down, right? You would think, okay, this joint was a slam dunk. Yeah, but now you're selling the sequel. And you're selling the sequel to something that's 120 plus hours. But you have the data to know how many people finished the game. I forget how much praise it got, how many awards it won, because the people who gave it awards finished the game, hopefully, right? And the people who did the write-ups and the reviews finished the game, right? Because that's their job. Like they finished the game. But the millions of people who bought it, you know what the percentage of people that actually finished it. So if you paid attention, there were entire ads run talking about how you don't need to play the first one to jump in and play the second one. Because somebody had to have looked at those numbers and been like, you know what, this might be a problem. So I literally saw influencers. I saw it online. I saw it on Instagram. Just like, hey, quick blurb, 30-second joints. You don't actually have to play the first one to play this one. There's a story recap. That's in the, you can just jump in, you get a little story recap, you can just take off running. You don't have to play the first game. You don't even have to play the DLC from the first game. They're trying to sell you on the fact that you don't need to play the first game to play the second game. You don't need to have finished the first game to play the second. I didn't. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just jump in here. Right? So their sales just haven't been where they want them to be. And like when they're even putting out something that seems like a smaller game, which again is still 30, 40 to 80 hours, they don't even, to me, don't even feel like they take the time to come up with an actual name. Triangle Strategy? Project Octopath became Octopath Traveler? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just gets a little, you know, and then they just got like, they just have game on like Dragon Quest. They got like all of these games and like all of what they do, their major bread and butter, especially now that they got rid of the Western studios they owned. Because they had Tomb Raider, they had Hitman, they got rid of those. So now almost everything they make is straight RPGs, straight 30 to 120 hour games that take up a lot of time. And so even if you're willing to spend the money, if you didn't finish one, why are you jumping into the next one? If you're not there yet, right? So the likelihood of you selling to more people, you only gonna do it if you get outside that arena. And that means that PlayStation money of like, nah, just only play here. Nah, we're gonna take the show on the road. Even the NBA started taking and doing games outside the country. They play baseball games outside the country. WWE doing shows outside the country. We got to get out of this bubble. It's only so many arenas in the U.S.
Facts.
Right? Take it to these stadiums.
Look at the love we got. Look at the love we got in Paris. You know what I'm saying?
Like, that's what I was just about to say. Like the love you're getting over there from all these that have been craving for it. Like
right.
us,
Not
hey,
to
give
mention,
us stuff.
And listen, those fans in France are probably right now the best fans. Period.
Oh,
you know what they are in terms of being equivalent to video games? They're the PC players for Helldivers too. It is Sony learning the lesson of, oh, dang, we probably should do day and date like Xbox started doing 5 years ago, 7 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Like there's Trip money said, out here.
They've been begging us to come to France for years and, finally did it. And look, like.
Again, and still have an issue because they fixed the issue with Helldivers as far as them walking back people having to link the PSN account.
PSN account, yep. Yeah.
But
it was another game that they said had to do it now.
Well,
We
Not
talked
so
about that.
Ghost of Tsushima, they
Yeah.
said you have to do it if you want to play. If you want to play the Legends mode, you need a PSN account. So if you want to play the online portion of it, you need a PSN account. But you can't but but what has happened is you remember how they delisted Helldivers in like 170 countries?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The reason why it was delisted in those countries is because those countries don't have PSN. So
Yeah.
now in all those countries, they also are not getting Ghost of Tsushima on PC because there's no PSN. And they can't figure out how to separate the single player and the
Mm-hmm.
multiplayer so that if you want, because they can't sell it to them, knowing that it's all in one package, and then allow them to play online when they're telling
Mhm.
everybody else you have to,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? And when you start thinking about, well, why isn't PlayStation Network in those countries then? It's 170 countries. Why isn't it in those countries? Maybe because they don't own the network. Maybe they got to pay more money to Amazon to run the
Mm-hmm.
network in those countries, or you know what I'm saying, whatever it is. In order to
Yeah.
do that, they got to charge you more for PlayStation Network, which y'all don't want them to do. You don't want to pay more here in the US for PlayStation Network so people can play in Sri Lanka. You know what I'm saying? Like, not that
It's
it
a
wouldn't
fact.
give you more people to play with, but that means you're charging a lot of people who aren't playing those games anyway. You know, like it just. So now they're in this catch. They're in this catch 22, right? Of like, what am I? Square Enix is in that same spot. The industry is imploding on itself because games take too long to make. I think that's what they're learning. That they can't keep making games that are like 120 hours or even 80 hours that take 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're working on a game now and it's not coming out until the midlife cycle of PlayStation 6,
Mhm.
how are you paying these people? Where is the money coming from to pay? Like, and if you're putting out a game that's a single player RPG that
Yeah.
maybe
Once
has a
that's
downloadable content and maybe has some like outfits or something,
Yeah.
how do you sustain it? You can't
yeah. Once
sustain that.
that's done, that's a wrap.
When they were doing games that took like 2 years, then you put it out and then you sell some DLC or whatever on top of it, like that's beautiful. But if you're not making a game as a service that once you get it out, you have a consistent way of making
Yeah.
sure that money is just rolling in because it's evergreen. If you don't have that, you got to be able to turn that much faster. And I think that's the difference between a company like Tango releasing a Hi-Fi Rush. I don't imagine a Hi-Fi Rush was expensive to make.
Mhm.
I do imagine that The Evil Within was. I do imagine that Ghostwire Tokyo was. And I do imagine that without Shinji Mikami there was a lack of direction in what they were going to do and how they were going to do it and what funds they were spending. And I can't imagine that even if Hi-Fi Rush got all the accolades in the world, even if it hit sales targets, because they're like, well, it's a little piddly game. We're going to put it on Game Pass, so we're only expecting it to do this. We might hit 1 million players. It hits 4 million. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. Like it exceeded our expectations. They never said it made a crap ton of money. They said it exceeded all our expectations across all our metrics. Yeah, but what were the metrics?
Yeah.
We expected it to make this much, and it made this much. But that doesn't mean that it made enough to
To
pay for the
sustain.
entire
Mhm.
studio that's making whatever else they should have been working on, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
Tango Gameworks isn't the same as Double Fine. When a Microsoft buys Double Fine for this minuscule amount of money they buy them for compared to what they spent on these other studios, they know Double Fine makes small games that they're not $1 million, you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
whatever, but they're not costing but so much to make too. So the expectation is different when they do a game, when they release a game and in their cadence,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't make big games, they never have. Tango, on the other hand, has been making AAA games the entire time until Hi-Fi Rush.
Mhm.
Hi-Fi Rush comes out and it's a darling, but you still got a studio with like hundreds and hundreds of people.
Still gotta
You
pay them.
shouldn't need that many people to do that. So that doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. No, it doesn't compute. The math isn't there. Square Enix in the same boat. PlayStation in the same boat. And the industry now is just like, yeah, we gotta figure out how to start 8 hours, dog. 10 hours. 12 hours. $70. Here's a DLC pack. You want to add a little extra game time? Here's some skins.
$14.99.
You feel me? Like,
Oh,
here's
yeah.
some skins. We just turn the profit so we can move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we can take that money and we can put it into the big thing, right? Like, you have to have that cycle going. So, I mean, look, I think it'll be interesting to see what Square does, because if now they're like, we're aggressively pursuing multi-platform. So then what does that mean for the third Final Fantasy game in this trilogy? Does that mean the
Right.
whole package is coming to Xbox now?
That's
Does that mean
what I
you're
was
going
gonna
to push it
say,
on?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is it going to Nintendo? Does multi-platform mean, yep, it'll be PlayStation and it'll be PC, but we're going day and date. Like, we're not going to try to wait.
I waited out.
You know what I mean? Or whatever. And it's not on Xbox because of whatever deal they signed, you know what I'm saying? Or something like that.
Mhm.
Aggressively to me means you about to try to renegotiate that.
Do it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, listen,
Oh yeah.
y'all ain't quite giving
This
us
ain't
what we
working out.
need.
Yeah.
Because
So
at this point, you might
things
as
gotta
well,
change up.
especially with a majority of the Final Fantasy games already on Xbox, you might as well get your newest and latest ones out there, and so those people can also be able to consume it as well too.
I mean, they got to be seeing the numbers that are coming from Xbox players on Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, like, they have to be seeing those numbers, right? They have to have the numbers from Dragon Quest, from the last Dragon Quest game, because that was on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, they're seeing that even with Game Pass as an additive, it's turning people on to their other games. You know what I mean? And that kind of thing. So it's interesting to see where the industry is headed. You know what I mean? And we don't have no choice but to be dragged along with it.
Ain't that the truth?
But I tell you that I'm finding so much satisfaction in these smaller indie titles that even got some hours of gameplay in them. These like Metroidvanias, side scrolling beat 'em ups. We ain't playing Double Dragon, dog.
Having a blast.
We're playing Double Dragon. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all these big, you know what I mean? I'm like, I didn't finish Final Fantasy Rebirth. I didn't finish Final Fantasy 16. I ain't finished Baldur's Gate. All them jokes. That's like
Baldur's
700
Gate.
hours.
Can you
we in
even
the
finish
same spot.
Can you even finish Baldur's Gate?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Gotta start making that a regular thing. Get back into that because it was fun.
It was, but like, I can
Yeah.
play Pac-Man. I'm just
Not
saying.
bad.
They just put out a new Pac-Man joint.
Oh,
And I've been
yeah,
thinking
it's a
about
wrap.
it.
It's a wrap. You
It's
got
multiplayer though. It's multiplayer only.
only.
Only. Yeah. It's like
It
straight
was like a battle royale
battles.
type of thing or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know. It's interesting. I'm excited to see what happens, see where it goes. Let's wrap the show up. Jokes, you got a job to do.
Gotcha.
Why you doing that? Sid, tell us what's happening in Thriller Park this week.
This week in Thriller Park, the big one we've been waiting for, we're finally getting ready to start. It's the one that everybody's been requesting to watch, which is ReZero. This is, how do I put this? One, it genre-wise, it's everything. It's horror, it's thriller, it's brutal, it's action, adventure, fantasy. The only thing that doesn't check is comedy. But it's a good one. Production value on this one is insane. Believe me when I say this is a masterclass in production of a show. Like, it is so well done consistently throughout it. And as far as
So you've seen it, just nobody else has seen it.
only people who have seen it is me and Noah. I watched it once with him because he was hyping it for so long. So I finally sit down and watch it, which was a couple years ago. And I definitely need to revisit before season 3 drops. So it's going to be, I remember certain things, but I don't remember everything. So it's going to be a good revisit for me. And as far as isekais go, this is kind of considered like, this is the benchmark if you're doing an isekai anime. And for those who don't know what an isekai anime is, it's when somebody gets transported to another world and they start their life all over. And sometimes they come back as a baby and this world has magic. So they become the best magic user. Or they come back as a vending machine, which is true. Or they come back as a ball of slime and ends up being the most badass character you probably have ever seen. Like, it's a very popular genre of anime. So this one's considered like,
What's the release date for the DC Isekai? I saw another trailer for it not that long ago.
Yeah,
but I can't remember when it drops.
I feel like the show's next month.
I don't feel like it's long.
While you're finding that, Jokes,
Mm-hmm.
what's up with the finisher, buddy?
Got another episode of The Finisher coming this weekend. So as usual, for those that are in Patreon, you guys are going to get a exclusive conversation that no one else is going to get that we're going to have. Everybody else, of course, is going to get a short version of the Finisher podcast. So you'll be able to, one, watch that short form one. I'm going to do something a little bit different going forward. So if you guys are someone that likes to listen like while you're driving, I'm going to have the audio version go live as well too. So while you're in the car, if you want to listen to the conversations we have, you'll have that version available as well. But that one topic or that one subject that we're going to talk about, there's going to be one that's exclusive to Patreon. So if you want to hear that conversation, the only way to hear it is, of course, to subscribe to us on Patreon.
I dig
To
it.
answer your question, Gage, it's July this year.
Okay. So a couple months.
And also, you all will be getting Spoiler Boys going forward for the episodes that we watch of Thriller Park. The idea is after we do Thriller Park, some of us going to jump backstage, go record just our impressions about it. Something quick, 15, 30 minutes max, depending on how much information we just got thrown within the episode. So
how bad
you can expect that going forward. Yeah. Patreon members get it first. Then a few days later, you can expect it throughout everybody else. So look forward to that.
On that note, there is only one episode left of X-Men 97.
That there is.
Episode 10 is coming. So we will be having a conversation about the final episode with Jerry Gaylord, who's a storyboard artist on the show, and Adam Butler, who's a good friend of the show, huge X-Men fan. So look for that to drop this weekend. Obviously, the Patreon first, and then further out. We will consider doing kind of a recap, overall thoughts on the show separate, but it may all just end up happening in one because I have a feeling like we're not going to be able to contain ourselves. If we do that, then there'll be a special guest, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But right now, we're going to record it. It happens on Wednesday. We're going to record it on Friday. Get it to you this weekend, so that you can listen in. So if you're not caught up on X-Men 97, 1, watch the show. 2, go listen to Spoiler Boys.
Absolutely.
We are so good at spoiling things.
We the Spoiler Boys.
It's ridiculous. But we are having some really, really good conversations, and it's really great to have somebody like Jerry on Spoiler Boys with us to talk about the show and even give a little bit of that behind the scenes stuff, information that like maybe you get from a script, or knowing that a particular scene was cut short, or something like that. Or
when we start going places, it's hilarious. Like, all right, if that's what y'all think this is headed, if you think that's where we're going, yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, definitely worth making sure you check that out. Very grateful to those two gentlemen for joining us on this journey to watch these. I know that technically there hasn't been an official announcement, but I know that voice actors have already kind of spilled the beans that they have been recording for season 2. So we'll see what that really means. Doctor Who says, night all, hit the like button. Definitely. Share it out. If you see somebody at your job tomorrow who you think isn't subscribed, just ask them to do it. Just be like, yo,
point them in the right direction.
These guys, hit that button.
Just grab you two on your phone. Go to this. Hit that for me. All right, cool. That's it. That's all I needed.
That's all. Yeah, that's all you got.
That's all I needed.
Yeah, that's it. Jokes. Tell the people what I need them to hear.
Remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
With that, we're out. Tools are loose.
Loading snacks.